What's going on, Spitfires? Welcome back to another episode of the Spitfire Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Lemunyon, the Spitfire Coach, and we're here with another episode to help you feel more fired up, more confident, more certain in these uncertain times. And just as a reminder, if you're not already subscribed, you can go to Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can click subscribe. You can send these to friends. You could send these to your frenemies. Who might that be? Today, we are talking about how to make a decision when things feel uncertain. And if you have been alive in the last year and a half, guess what? So many things have been uncertain. This is what we call VUCA, V-U-C-A, and that stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. Now, you don't need to have all four to be in a VUCA environment, but here's the thing, we have all been living in some form of this. The uncertainty of, whether you're going to get a vaccine, the volatility of people's emotions during the election and after, and currently with vaccines, the complex decisions of who to see and not to see. Are you going back to work? Are you staying at home? Do you have childcare issues? Do you have financial issues? And ambiguous. When things are vague and unknown, how do we make decisions? So that's what we're focusing on today. We're getting back to the certainty that we can find within ourselves to make solid decisions for ourselves and our family and our community and all that great stuff as we move forward. Now, things are changing. They are always going to be changing. That's life. And it's probably always been like this, but now we are seeing things on a very microscopic level. We are living them and seeing the impacts really play out on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes it feels like an hour by hour, even minute by minute. Things are constantly changing, from mask ordinances to the effectiveness of vaccinations for longevity standpoint of, am I going to get COVID? Am I not going to get COVID? Who should I see? Do I wear a mask? Blah, blah, blah. The thing is, it always comes back to us. It comes back to your core values. And so whether you are deciding on taking a job or leaving your house to go to a restaurant, to see family, to see friends, these are all decisions that require your influence, your impact. And what I've seen happen so much in the past is that people wait for decisions to be made for them. And then one of two things happen. They're either cool to go along for the ride, or they resent that they didn't have power to make the decision. And the reality is, you always have the power to make a decision, even when things feel like they're out of your control and out of your power. This is the big shift that needs to happen, because when we're in this fixed mindset of life happens to me, I'm a victim of circumstances, I can't change anything, guess what? That becomes your reality. And some things are outside of your control. There are systemic issues that prevent people from being able to make really big changes and shifts. But, and I know I don't use the word but I'm going to use it here. But if we can step outside of that, if we allow ourselves to see little cracks of certainty, how might that empower us to make other decisions that are better for us? So if we have, presumably, the deck stacked against us, where do we have little pockets of impact and influence to make decisions that make us feel more empowered, that allow us to feel like we have our hands on 10 and 2 on that steering wheel and we're driving ourselves forward? This theme comes up so much because when we're under stress, when we are under sustained stress, which we all have been, and many populations have been even more impacted prior to the pandemic, financial, societal, career. You look at any part of society and there are absolutely groups who have not been empowered, who have felt held back and oppressed. That's that feeling of I can't do anything. And there's a lot of intentionality behind that when you look at the people who have power. We will talk about this in another podcast because I could go down a rabbit hole real fast. What we want to do is look at, where do you have influence? Where do you have impact? What do you know to be true about you? Well, I know that I get really calm under pressure. I get weirdly calm under pressure, to be honest. When crisis hits, I go real calm. But beyond that, I know that when I see too many gaps and I have too many options, and kind of the world is my oyster, I freak out a bit. I see this happen a lot because when you have too many options, how do you know what the quote unquote right option is? And so what we need to do is throw out right and wrong, good or bad when it comes to the decisions we're making for ourselves. So what we want to look at are, how do we identify those things that are most important to us? So for me, what's most important to me is being able to feel in control of my schedule, to be able to play, to connect, to have impact. And so when I look at decisions that I'm making that impact my future, or it could be very minor, I then look at, well, how does this honor those values? Is this adding more play? Is this allowing me to connect? Is this giving me greater impact? No? Okay, so why is it up for consideration? What internal story is getting pulled out that's giving me the should, have to, need to storyline? We all have them. We all think, we're supposed to be this image of what success is. But if we don't identify what success actually is for us, we start to circle in that ambiguity. Things start to look very vague, and then we look for other people's definitions for us to plant in there. So spend some time and ask yourself very honestly, what does success really look like? How do I feel when I'm successful? What's going on? What's that state of mind and that feeling in your body when you're successful? And this is not about achievement. This is not about even financial stuff, because finances will come and go. That's just how things work. So if you don't know, okay, when I hit this number in my bank account, or when I acquire this amount of wealth, I feel X way. We want to know what X way is, because once you feel that way, it actually will attract in more abundance. It will attract in more success. It will attract in more love. It will attract in more connection. Whatever it is that you seek, you need to know what that feeling is, because that's what connects back to value. So if we're always chasing things that are outside of us, external definitions of what success are, we are always going to be left feeling unfulfilled and unsatisfied. And that's what continues that chase, that external chase of trying to go and track down someone else's definition. You need to know what defines who you are. You need to define what's most important to you, because otherwise you are living someone else's life. You are living someone else's expectation of what happiness is. And then you're going to be 35, 45, 55, 65. Shoot, you might be even on your deathbed and wondering, I wonder when I stopped really focusing on me and what made me happy. I wonder what life could have been like if I actually listened to my inner voice and what it was asking me to do. So this is your call to cut the noise, to stop the chase. If you're feeling really triggered right now in your chest, it's because your internal story is getting activated. It's feeling really threatened by thinking differently. So that is your call to turn off, after you're finished listening to this podcast, turn off all the noise. Stop scrolling, put your phone down, and get a notepad and a pen out and start asking yourself questions. Start getting curious about what's most important to you, what you want to create in your life, what your core values are. If you aren't answering these questions, you are deflecting from your own truth. So you've got to be willing to sit through the unknown, the uncertainty, the volatility, the ambiguity to get to that certainty, which is, who are you at the core? What is most important to you? What are you here to do in this life? What is your legacy? Once you answer those questions, everything else starts to line up. The universe goes, hey, this is her order. This is his order. This is their order. Go ahead. Bring it to them. They're ready for it now. But if you're not ready for it, the universe doesn't know what to give you. So it's going to try on some different things. And then you think, oh, okay, I guess this is what I'm going to settle for because this is what the universe provided. No, you need to get more specific. You need to dial into that feeling, because once you hit it, it then puts that flag up of, if you've ever been to Fogo de Chao or Texas de Brazil, where it's just meat on a stick all the time, do you have that red coin up or that green coin? You might have that red side up inadvertently. So once you are aligned, that green flag goes up and it says, here you go, yes, please. And gratitude keeps it coming. So whenever you feel uncertain, what do you know to be true? What do you need to be true in order to move forward? So spend some time in silence, breathe through it, and know that things will happen when you're ready for them. So I hope this has been helpful. If If you have any questions, if you want to work through things, if you need some worksheets, I got lots of them. Let me know. And to all the Spitfires out there, keep being awesome.